Hello, welcome once again to another episode of Decluttering 55 Plus with Michelle Passoff. This is a place to come to join in the conversations that we have with experts, authors, authorities, and geeks about various aspects of life, which we baby boomers would often like to sweep under the carpet, put off another day or forever. If you're baffled or confronted by something, it's clutter. So we bring those topics to the light of day so we can get our questions answered, sort things out, get in action, and get things done. When you come here, you may find us talking about all kinds of things that can invigorate your life and support you to create a legacy, not a mess. This includes resetting your health, fitness, and food regimens, digital decluttering, preparing a memoir, deciding where to live, what to do next as we age, getting our financial house in order, and legal papers in order, and even pre-planning our final arrangements. Last but not least, we talk about relationships. Researchers will be the first to tell you that they are as important or even more important than any other aspect of life when it comes to aging well. Today, we're going to talk about love, a subject that is enough for many people who reach 55 plus to simply roll their eyes back and bark about how they've been there, done that, and don't plan to ever do it again. Whether you're discouraged by a bad relationship in the past, have enough of doing your best to create a fire in your heart in the present, or you've lost someone and your heart is still broken, we're here at Decluttering 55 Plus because we believe that it is never too late to love again. That's why we've invited Sarina Fazan here today to inspire us to be bold and brave in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond when it comes to matters of the heart. Sarina is an award-winning television anchor and reporter with many accolades under her belt, including 4 Emmys, an International Communication Award, and numerous awards from the Associated Press, the Society of Professional Journalists, and other media organizations. She is active in nonprofits that make a difference in her Florida community. Sarina is also a producer and a host of several shows on her own Sarina Fazan Network, which airs on RHS TV Network. These include On the Record with Sarina Fazan, CEO 360, and The Lighter Side of Sports. In addition to being a hard-hitting journalist, Sarina is a true romantic, which is why she created the shows for RHS TV called Love in America and Dating in America. Let's chat with Sarina and see what she has to say about discovering, rediscovering, igniting, and reuniting passion in our lives, regardless of our age. Welcome, Sarina. How are you?
Oh my gosh, Michelle, thank you so much for having me here. And what an introduction. I'm so humbled and honored.
Oh, well, it's really nice to have you here. And this is our first in-studio interview, so I'm glad we can rub shoulders while we chat.
What a privilege.
So tell me, how did you get from covering very serious topics like crime, very big name stories, to love?
You know, I have to say, I have always been in love with love. I have set up 9 couples that have gotten married, and I think it's actually even more than that because now we have social media and you can track people. But in college, when I say track, you know what I mean. But in college, I would constantly be setting people up. To answer your question, I did such heart-wrenching stories. You know, I went on death row. The only interview ever of a mother killing her own children. I did that story. So when I had the opportunity to come here to RHS TV, I thought, you know, of course I want to do serious journalism as well. Not that love is not serious, but I am in love with love. So why not talk about it? Everybody needs it.
What do you think is the importance of love at any age?
I think love is like oxygen. It's air. We need love. And it does not matter what age. You know, there was very interesting studies about babies too who weren't held or touched and what happened to them as they grew. So I mentioned that because the human spirit, you need someone to love you. And I know there's different love languages. It doesn't mean you have to be all over the person. But on the record, I am pretty affectionate. You know?
For the record.
For the record. But people need to know that they are loved and appreciated.
Do you think that love is different when you're 25 than when you're 55, 65, and 75? How does it change?
I absolutely do think it is different. I think when you are a younger person and in love, you know, there might be more excitement. Not that there can't be excitement when you're older. I want to stress that. But maybe a little bit more uncertainty, you know, because you're younger. As we age, there is so many beautiful experiences in life. You know, I always say life is so beautiful. It can also be difficult, but what it gives you is experience. So when you meet someone and you're older, you have experiences that you didn't have when you're in your 20s or your 30s.
So it's a more mature kind of relationship, hopefully, right? That you've learned something about yourself or people as you age, that you bring that knowledge into the relationship.
That is a very good question, Michelle, and I think yes. I think as you get older, you also know more of what you want. So when you're younger, going back to your question about how love is different, when you're younger, there could be different goals, like, you know, okay, I want to have children, I want, you know, all those. But I have found when you're older, relationships can also develop more quickly. And marriage, or even if it's not marriage, a more secure relationship can happen faster than it does when you're younger.
But what about the resistance? Maybe you've been disappointed in your divorce, or you've lost somebody and you're aching, or you've tried before and it didn't work out. How do you get over, since if you're older, how do you get over your resignation or your resistance to loving again? You
have to keep an open mind. You have to constantly give yourself great love talk, because it's very important. Remember, you are not going to be loved by someone unless you love yourself.
That's a good point. You got to start with yourself. That's true.
Yes, you have to start with yourself. And whether it's even looking at the mirror every day, and even if you don't believe it, and you say, you know what, I'm great and I deserve to be loved. It's very, very important to do that, because, well, you and I were talking about even before the show started, even if someone wants the divorce, it's very difficult, it's very challenging. Or sadly, and I've had a lot of friends, even my own sister, like I stutter over it, has a spouse that passes away. There can be a lot of anger too, you know. So you rely on faith. You have to pull everything to make yourself feel good about you, whether it's leaning on friendships when you're older, leaning on your children. But again, I go back to always your faith too, if you have faith. But going back, you have to start with you.
So once you start with you and you think about the other, are you just fine? A lot of people are just fine with themselves. They say, I'll never do that again. Like, how do you give that up? How do you even begin to say, I'm going to get out there and make the effort and dream a dream when you've been there, done that already?
I would say to people who say that, you know, no way, you know, for lack of a better word, you're gypping yourself. Come on, because, and I say that in the most loving way, because you don't, and I tell my 17-year-old daughter this, right? You don't need someone to complete you.
I think that's a good point, not to do it because you need it.
Right. It's not that you need it, but what a joyful journey it is
to share
it.
Yeah.
To share it. So, and you know, for the people out there who feel that they can do it, and you know, I've done it before and I don't want to, I would just say, just open up your heart, because it is such a fun, beautiful journey.
Yeah, try. Give it a try.
Yes.
So once you've given it a try, you say, okay, my first bit of clutter is my mentality. So I'm going to ditch those beliefs I have that keep me from loving again. And you get rid of that kind of clutter. And you want to, okay, I'm going to hop into the marketplace. Where do you go for love these days?
Okay, so that is an excellent question, because I get this all the time, right? So life has changed so much. I mean, I remember when I first started in journalism, we didn't have computers or Google, and now it's ChatGPT and this and that. We didn't have that, right? Mostly everything was organic. Now, of course, the social media, there's so many dating apps out there. I would say, if you're older, please don't shy away from the dating apps. I know they're like, oh my God, but there's dating apps that are actually made for everything, for all sorts of things. I still highly believe in organically meeting somebody. And what I would say on that, do what you enjoy to do. So if you like to go and have a cup of coffee in the morning and, read the paper, read a book. I know people probably don't read papers anymore, but they do read their phone. You enjoy doing that, do that. You enjoy going to the park and walking your dog, do that. You enjoy going to the bar, having a beer and watching sports, do that. Because when you put yourself, and even if you're alone, it's getting out of the box, because if you do things that you enjoy.
Getting out of the house, too.
Gets you out of the house, but you're going to attract someone that also likes those same things. And you never know who you can meet.
And then there's the old school, maybe your friends can introduce you to somebody that you know. So explore all kinds of avenues with an intention in mind of attracting somebody who's just right for you.
Yes, and especially, personally, I think that is the best way, when a friend or someone you know. And if you think about it, when you're older, it could also be your children who introduce you to somebody.
Okay.
I have a great story that I would like to share, if you don't mind.
Sure, go. This is the place.
So I live in Tampa, Florida, and I was on Davis Islands, which is like a neighborhood. And a lot of people recognize me still, from my shows. I'm very humbled and blessed by that, and also from anchoring the news. So this girl, I was sitting there at a table or the bar, and she came up to me and she said, Sarina, you don't know me, but I know you, and do you mind if I share a story? I said, no, I would love for you to share a story. Her mom, her dad had passed away. And she said, I did not want to see my mom. She loved my dad so much alone. So she knew a guy who, sadly, his mom passed away. And she said, we should get our parents together. So they got together, and though that couple is married, and they've been married now for I would say 5 years at least. But it was so beautiful that the kids were in their 30s, that. So you never know. I guess the point is you never know.
It's a good point that was a positive story about kids, but kids can be an element that keeps you from getting together with somebody. Can you say something about how, if you go meet somebody and they have a family, what's the best approach you could have to be embraced by the family? Because that's something that can be like a barrier.
You know what? And that, I wish there was a great universal answer for that. I will say this: that can be extremely challenging. I do feel we have to try to remember, though, that they're kids, right? And if, say, you meet someone and the kids are still in the house,
kids, but it could be little kids, but it could be grown kids,
right?
Also.
The best,
not accustomed to that extra person.
The best thing I feel anybody could do is just, be true to yourself, but never ever say anything disparaging about I would never say anything disparaging about, whether it's the father or the mother, against the spouse. Even if, and believe me, there's many, many stories I have where one spouse will, tell the kids, oh, your father's awful, your mother's awful. Keep in mind, the kids too are half of both of the parents, And I know there's different levels. It could take years for families to meld, and it can be very, very difficult. But that's the time also that you do lean on your friends or people who are not involved in that core group, because people naturally need to vent, and you have to step back and look at your relationship with the person that you want to be with. And if it's a wonderful, healthy relationship, you have to focus on that. And even write things down. You don't have to share it with anybody.
Yeah, there you go. So what I'm hearing you say about is from the get-go, when you're there, you're alone, you're older, you're supposedly more mature, that all along the way you want to keep a positive attitude, that it's
so important.
Positive to say, I'm going to get out there, be positive about the possibility of meeting somebody. And even if my mother always used to say, maybe if you meet somebody and you don't like them, they have a friend, so they even have a friend. To stay positive as it relates to the challenges of family. Just stay positive about possibilities of love as you age.
100%. And even if you don't feel positive, even if you don't feel it,
trash it.
It is incredible. It's the clutter, right? It is incredible actually saying something positive about yourself, or again, writing it down.
And not everybody has to be the love of your life. Have fun, too, right?
Right.
So we could talk forever about love, and we can continue this conversation another time. But for today, we have to wrap it up. So I want to thank you for igniting the story and getting us revved up for the possibility of going into a new possibility with somebody in your life.
Michelle, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing to share so much of my passion with you. You're wonderful.
Okay, thank you. So I hope everyone out there is ready to spread a little love around today. Why wait? Get inspired and inspire others. So do something today to take action on meeting the man or woman of your dreams. And if you want to tune into Sarina's show on RHS TV, browse through the episodes of On the Record, Love in America, Dating in America, and set your schedule to watch what is coming up. Open your heart to new possibilities. Before we sign off, I want to remind you that my new book is available. It's right here by my side here, but it's Decluttering 55 Plus, Wisdoms to Create a Legacy, Not a Mess. It's a great way to love yourself. It's a spiral book of illustrations that sits like a tent on your dresser or desk, so you can turn it to any page for inspiration to get in action and get things done. Leave it there for a day, a week, a month, and let it keep inspiring you into action. Buy one for yourself, give a copy to everyone in your circle of friends and family too. You can go to Amazon.com or layitflat.com to get a copy. Now, go to www.decluttering55plus and click on the Let's Connect button to sign up for our messages about what's up next on our agenda. Become a part of our community and let us know your challenges, your successes, and what else you want to hear from us. Please like us, follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and anywhere you can, so we can grow this community and spread the word about the resource Decluttering 55 Plus is for all those baby boomers and those who love them. We will see you next week. Thanks for being with us today. Now get out there and spread a little love. Have a clutter-free day.